What the world? Oh, man!
SHW. This is our wrestling.
Unbelievable.
You think you could walk all over me, but I don't see that happening. We're warriors.
We told you anybody could show up here tonight. This crowd is going ballistic. You should get dog collar now, just choking Huckabee. Ashton Starr, your new #1 contender. The Lynch Mob are your first ever SHW Tag Team Champions. You're kidding me. Logan Creed is in the action building. Unbelievable. I can't believe what we saw here tonight, folks. I mean, this is insane.
And now, the voices of Southern Honor Wrestling, Brandon Benefield and Gerard Bonner.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to another exciting edition of SHW. This is our wrestling. We are your voices of SHW, B-Double Brandon Benefield, GB Gerard Bonner, my man. What's going on?
Hey, man, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. Doing just fine. Excited. We got a big guest lined up, and
Yes.
I'm excited because we're another week closer to July 1st, which is the big announcement. Which, by the way, let me just mention, last week we don't necessarily record, on a certain date. We record a little early. Let me just put it that way before we release it on Friday. So we put it out there to you guys. Hey, what do you think the announcement's going to be? And but the thing is, before the show even aired, it got posted what the announcement's going to be. It's going to be a return date. It's gonna be titles on the line.
Yeah.
So if you did not guess in the comments correctly, that's on you. You have no excuse because you were given the answer.
So sad.
You were given the answer to the test. But anyway, so we're excited. July 1st, right around the corner. We got a big date coming up. Big announcement.
Yes, big announcement next Wednesday. It should be fantastic. Now, what we all don't know, which is really the important piece of information, what the date's gonna be when we're coming back. That's really what we want to know. So. We know Gary's not going to spoil that piece of it. So go ahead, drop it in the comments right now. What date you think we'll be back? It could be any day now. So drop that in the comments and let us know also what matches you want to see. We know there are going to be some title matches. Perhaps you have some folks that you want to see fight for the SHW Championship or the SHW Tag titles. Drop them in the comments right now. Let's see if perhaps you are right on board with what the team has planned.
We know that Ashton should still have a #1 contender's shot at the title. We think
He should. He is the #1 contender, but who knows?
There's a match that I was looking forward to for coming up at SCI, which was going to be Dani Jordyn versus Kylie Ray, and we didn't get to see that. So hopefully that's still somewhere down the line, whether it's at the first show back. I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll
there's
find
a
out.
lot of possibilities, man.
We'll find out when you guys find out. Because
Exactly.
Like we said, we don't get told anything. I think they think we have big mouths and we'll be like spoiling everything, so they don't tell us any secrets. But and I might. I have a fat mouth, so I might go around.
Well, I can hold all kinds.
Oh my God. You guys won't believe who's going to be at the next show. So yeah, it's probably better I don't get told ahead of time. But I'm excited to find out. Speaking of Dani Jordyn, she is, of course, our guest here tonight. You know her as part of the new era. You know her as the real mean girl. And you also can go on Pro Wrestling Tees.
Yes.
And pick up some Dani J merch. She's got a couple shirts up there.
You've seen this merch pretty much everywhere on AEW, on NWA. And so it's been there. You can definitely get that at her Pro Wrestling Tees shop. And we're looking forward to our conversation with her today as well.
Yes, sir. Let's check it out.
All right, guys, we've got another great interview lined up for you today. Listen, we're welcoming someone who you guys all know and at one time you didn't love and now you kind of love. I don't know where you are with it, but for sure, she is the real mean girl. You've seen her everywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Dani Jordyn. Dani, how are you?
Hey, thanks. Do we have an applause track?
Well,
Yeah.
we can find
play?
one.
I'll add it in post. I'll add it in post.
Thank you. I'd appreciate that.
Or booze. It depends on if you're going to punch me in the face today or not.
Listen.
How are we doing right now? We're good. I'm glad we're doing this via Zoom because if we're in the same room together, you know what usually ends up happening. So
True.
Anyways, it's good to see you. We haven't seen you in months. How the heck are you?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. Not sick. I'm still alive.
Yeah.
Hanging in there. What about you? Didn't get sick?
So far, so good.
Ah,
GB.
I'm
Oh, that's a
free.
shame.
Rona free.
Hey,
Oh.
that's
I
our
love
Danny.
it.
That's our Danny.
I've got to ask you, we might know some of the answers to this, but how have you been doing during quarantine? You know, these last 3 months have been a bit unusual for the wrestling
Yeah.
community. And I know you had a lot scheduled for WrestleMania weekend and the like. So how have these 3 months been for you?
Rough.
Okay.
Sad because I haven't gotten to do all those things. Like,
Yeah.
man, I know obviously like everybody lost everything that they had, but man, it hit me hard. I was really upset. I definitely like cried
Mhm.
when all that stuff got canceled. Like Mania week, I had, like you said, I had a bunch of stuff booked for that, and
Yeah.
that's the first time that I would have had like multiple shows
Wow.
for that weekend. Yeah, because I would have been my third time going. My first time was like I wasn't having shows or anything like that. The second
Okay.
time I did like one thing, and then
Right.
which was great. I was very thankful for it. But then the third time
Sure.
I was like, yeah, I got like four shows lined up. They
Right.
were all
Right.
I was very excited, and my friends had a bunch of shows, so that was
Yeah.
cool. But yeah, then none of that happened, obviously, so that was
Wow.
upsetting. But then not just that, but like a bunch of other stuff surrounding that week, like
Mm-hmm.
so many things got lost, and I hope that I get to get them all back, or that everybody else can get their stuff back that they were
Yeah.
supposed to do. Because that just sucks. Like that we
Yeah.
all. It's cool that we all got to go through it together. I mean, it's not cool,
Sure.
but it's better that
I
we all
get it.
got to go through the same thing. Yeah, you get it
Yeah.
together. But it still sucks. But I like the support that everyone was posting about online on Twitter, especially. Everybody was
Yeah.
like, "Everybody, hang in there. We got this. We're gonna
Yeah.
come back out on top, when this all gets back together." And here we are, still nothing is going on. So
Yeah.
that sucks.
Well,
But I,
you say that, but there's some stuff going on for some people. Now, it might be a
for
select
some,
few.
yeah, it's actually like a weird blessing in disguise for
Mm-hmm.
a lot of cases. So,
Yeah.
which is really cool. Who would have thought?
Well, so we want to
Yeah.
talk to you. We talked to you a while back in November of last year. You kind of surprised us all by appearing on AEW Dynamite, taking on the Native Beast Nyla Rose, and you almost had her. By the way, it was by
Yeah.
you were that
Did I?
close,
Thank you.
almost. You at least
Yeah.
got one big
Thank
slap
you.
in at one point, which I thought was
I
cool.
did. Yeah. That was a good slap.
But
Glad I got
yes,
to slap her.
so we saw you there, and we were wondering when we might see you again with All Elite Wrestling. And lo and behold, over the last several weeks, we've seen you pop up a few times on AEW Dark, which we thought has been very cool because we've been bummed out for our SHW friends and family that haven't been able to work lately. And then we're
Yeah.
seeing a handful of you guys. You, David Ali's been on a couple recently. Of course,
Yeah.
Alan Angels, Lee
Yeah.
Johnson, Captain
Sean
Sean
Dean.
Dean. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was exciting to see you back there. Kind of let us know, walk us through how that all happened. Like, how'd they reach out to you? When did you find out you were going to be doing a few matches with them? Like, kind of walk us through that.
Well, thank God it happened, because like I
Yeah.
said, I was going through like a really sad, like depressing time with no training school. I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
working. I was just staying at home doing absolutely nothing, and I was going insane. No wrestling, no nothing. So I actually got a message from my trainer,
Mm-hmm.
QT Marshall. So
Mm-hmm.
thankfully I train at the Nightmare Factory, so that's a plus. So like
Yeah.
that's how I was able to get my foot in the door there and everything. So and I feel like I had a pretty solid relationship with like Cody and them
Mm-hmm.
prior, just because of like work relations and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
Your
um
DDPY shirt there for anybody that doesn't know.
yeah, yeah, exactly. But yeah, so the connections were just there, and everything worked out, and like I said, just through my trainer. So
Wow.
and then it kept happening, so
Wow.
So
which was cool.
we didn't see your matches until you guys were back down in Daly's place in Jacksonville, but you were actually at the set of tapings at the Nightmare Factory. I don't know if a lot of people knew that's where those
Oh
tapings
yeah,
were, but they were in Norcross, Georgia, which formerly the One Fall Power Factory. Now it's the Nightmare Factory, and run by QT and Glacier, Ray Lloyd. But how did that work? That just seemed surreal to me because I've been there before just to hang out and do some interviews with Glacier and stuff. But
yeah.
obviously, I haven't been there training, obviously. But
Hmm.
so it was just cool to see it set up for TV. Like, what was that day like? And was it one day you did all the tapings, or was it multiple days? Like, how did that all work?
Um, I can't say too much about it, but they did do a lot of stuff like in a day. Whatever they could do for like Dynamite and stuff like that. But it was weird because it's not that big.
Yeah.
So it's weird to have like a big production show set up in there. I was like, is this still the Nightmare Factory? Like it doesn't look the same. Everything was different. Except for the gym part, obviously. But yeah, it was really weird being in there and seeing everything set up. It was cool at the same time. I kind of just wanted it to stay there because it was like
Yeah.
that would have been cool practice, right? Just like coming down the
Yeah.
ramp and making entrances. I wish kind of wish it was still there now.
Well,
But yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
as SHW fans and SHW people, it was exciting to see you in the crowd.
Yeah.
They have the what I've been enjoying about AEW is that they put some of the roster sitting out in the crowd to give it more of a livelier feel, which definitely helps. And it was cool to see.
Yeah.
I think at one point you were like holding back Britt Baker, and when she was fighting Sheeta, I think it was the night she busted her nose. And
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
and that's
that was the
when
match.
and so I guess you didn't realize this at the time because you're in the crowd, but when we're watching at home on TV and Jericho's going, Dani Jordyn, stupid idiot, or whatever he said, and Tony Schiavone are both like talking about you, and I'm just on my couch just like smiling, like, holy crap, that's pretty awesome. So
It was cool. Yeah, it was very cool. And Tony came up to me after, and because I didn't hear him, obviously, and he was like, "Just so you know, Chris Jericho just called you a stupid idiot on commentary." And I was like, "Did you slap him in the face after?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, I got your back."
no, the best part, Tony had my favorite line, and because Jericho said something like, who is he, or something like that, and then Tony just
Yeah.
goes, Tony's like, oh, that's a girl, or that's a woman,
Yeah.
or whatever he said,
Yeah.
but he just like said it really
Well,
quick.
it's a she, so
Yeah, it's a she, and
Yeah.
it made
something
me
like that.
it cracked me up. But
That was fun.
anyways,
It cracked everybody up. I got lots of tweets about it afterwards.
Some of the cool things about what you're doing is, of course, you've not just been in AEW, but we've also seen you on NWA Power, NWA Girl Power. Now, how did that come about? Because that's got to be like a super cool moment for you to be involved with such a historic organization that's kind of making their return. How did that happen for you?
Yeah, it was super cool to be a part of that. NWA was a little bit before my time.
Yeah,
But it was still like really cool to be a part of that and just see like how old school it still is, because it still
right.
has that feel and that look. I felt like when I walked in, I like went back in time. I was like, this is
Sure.
crazy. It was
Wow.
so like unorthodox from what I've been like used to doing, obviously,
Right.
because like
Right.
the podium thing threw me off so much.
Oh,
Made me
yeah.
so nervous having to go there before and after the match. I was like,
Right.
what is this? What if I
Wow.
look ugly after? So but yeah, it was super cool. The way I went about getting that was actually through connections as well, just people that had seen me before at Queens of Combat.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, this lady named Maureen
Hmm.
was she's a part of that as well.
Yeah.
And I just got contacted via her and Zane, who runs Queens of Combat, and
Okay.
they just were like, Maureen obviously knew me from that, and she was just
Yeah.
like, yeah, I trust your work. I trust your
Wow.
character. Like, what do you prefer doing? Like heel. I told them you're heel, blah, blah, blah. And
Hmm.
like, we just kind of went from there. At first it seemed okay, I'll have Maureen contact you about, this and this. And I was like, great, I could send my resume, like
Hmm.
let me know whatever you need from me. And then so she contacted me and I was like getting ready to get all that stuff ready for her and send it out. And she was
Yeah.
just like, I know you're good. Like, so it was cool. It meant
Yeah.
a lot, which I was very thankful for that. But I always want to just send my stuff out anyway,
Yeah.
yeah,
just in case, because that'll get passed along to the other people that don't know me and don't know what I
Hmm.
do in that company. So they could like watch all that or read through my resume,
Yeah.
stuff like that. But yeah, it seemed like I was gonna just apply for it, but then it ended up being more of a no, you got it already. So,
Wow.
yeah. They
Wow.
needed people to like get the circle squared started. So
Right. Right. And I
it was
thought
very
you
cool to be
you
a part
were
of that.
yeah, you were fantastic on that. One of the
Thank
things
you.
that you're welcome. One of the things that you mentioned, certainly a theme between AEW, NWA, and I'm sure other elements and areas of your career and life is the power of connection. Talk a bit about why connection ends up being important. And I think this is applicable for wrestling fans, wrestlers, and just people in general. Why is connection so important to kind of get to the next phase?
Well, everybody says it's not about oh man, I was gonna get so deep with that. What's the saying? It's not about what
It's
you
not
know, it's
what
about
you
who you
know,
know.
it's
Yeah,
that's what
yeah,
it
yeah.
is. Absolutely.
Ah, I messed it up. It's not about what you
We're
know. Let
live.
me
We're going
rewind. I'm
live.
gonna
We're
start that over.
live. There's no edits. We knew what you meant, though.
I'm gonna edit it myself.
All right.
Rewind.
Yes.
Well, it's not about what you know. It's about who you know.
Absolutely.
Wow, that was deep.
And thank you.
That was good.
I don't know if you've ever heard that before, but I just made it up.
No.
But actually Dallas DDP has told
Mhm.
me a reverse, not really reverse that, but an altered version of that. And it's not who you know, but it's who's willing to say they know you,
Mhm.
which I take a lot. I kind of just like to say that instead of it's not what you know, it's who you know. Because
Yeah.
I can say I know you, and then you can
Mhm.
look at me and be like, oh, I don't know her, you know? So it's about who's willing
First of
to
all,
vouch for you and say, yeah, I know that person. They're good.
yeah.
She's good. Use
Yeah.
her. She's funny. She's hilarious.
Mhm.
She's good looking. She's good at wrestling. All those
Yeah.
other things.
Yeah, first of all, I know that for a fact you would never admit that you know me in public. So,
Right. Exactly.
yeah, I don't buy
So
that for a
yeah, you get
second.
it. You get it.
Anyways,
Just
I love it. I love it. No, that's super good, and we are certainly proud of what you have been able to accomplish so far in this last year or so. It's been absolutely nuts, but you've really been killing it. I want to ask you this: there's been a lot going on in the world, and a lot going on in the world of pro wrestling. In this last
Mhm.
week, it has been nuts. The speaking out hashtag has really had a strong impact in the world of pro wrestling. I want to get your thoughts on what's been going on with that hashtag and kind of the climate of the wrestling business as it pertains to how women are being treated. What are your thoughts on
Man, that's a good question. I can't mess
Well, thank
that one up, huh?
that?
Um, I'm so glad that it's happening, that hashtag is getting so much attention right now, and that all these women are sharing their stories.
Yeah.
Because it's not just all these women in wrestling, it's like my friends that are
Mhm.
sharing their stories, and that hits really hard.
Yeah,
And I thankfully have not had any experiences to the extreme as a lot of the other women have out there.
sure.
I'm very thankful for that. There's definitely situations that I think could have led to stuff like that.
Wow.
And thankfully they did not. Um, but yeah, there's like I've been talking about this recently with a lot of my guy friends, just trying to like get them to understand it a little bit more,
Yeah. Yeah.
because we can talk about it all day, but in the end, they're not a female, so they don't
Right.
like experience a lot of these things. And some of them have, weirdly enough, some of
Yeah.
them have. And
Wow.
especially a lot of gay men have gone through all of this. Some of my
Sure.
friends. And
Wow.
it's terrible. Like literally anybody is like going through this. So it's
Mhm.
not just narrowed down to the women, but obviously the focus is on what they're going through right now. And it's just like since I would say since the beginning, since I started wrestling, I had no idea what the business was like. I
Mhm.
didn't know about actual wrestling, but I also didn't know about like the politics of it all.
Mhm.
Um, and it's almost like anytime, I'm having a conversation with my friends, one of the guys will be like, "Oh, I didn't really like this person." And I'm like, "Really? I thought he was really nice." And they're
Mhm.
like, "Yeah, 'cause you're a girl." And I'm always like, "What does that mean?" And
Wow.
then they explain. So, just because I'm a female, they might be nice to me or they might talk to me, give me advice, help me, whatever it is, right? And I always like to see the good in people right from the start. So I
Sure.
just don't think about that. I'm just like, "Oh, I never even would have thought," right?
Right.
But they've just taught me to kind of have my guard up
Mm.
24/7 because you
Wow.
never know who's going to do what and act like anything, especially when you're alone with somebody. You never know what they're going to be like when you're just one on one.
Yeah.
So somebody can be the nicest guy and then turn around, you're one on one, and then you get pressured, and then, you know, hopefully nothing gets physical, but it's very possible.
Sure.
So
Sure.
it's kind of scary. You can't trust anybody, but I've been like groomed to think that way now.
Wow.
And think that, there might be an ulterior motive behind just saying hello or being
Right.
nice to me just because I'm a
Wow.
girl, which
Wow.
is terrible. I don't want to think that because I have there's so many like guys out there in wrestling that are not like that.
Yeah.
And it just takes like a few of them to make you think that about all of them, right? So
Sure.
like you just can't trust anybody these days. But
Wow.
but yeah, so then they get to the, it's because you're a girl thing, and it just makes me feel like crap because I don't want to ever think that they're just being nice to me because I'm a female.
Right.
It should be because of my wrestling ability, my wrestling
Mhm.
skill. And then it makes me feel like I'm not respected as a talent, and then I'm just looked at as
Wow.
a female.
Wow.
So yeah, it definitely, like, in a way it's degrading, or it makes me feel that way, even if they're
Mhm.
not even like thinking like that. If that guy's
Yeah.
not being nice to me or saying hello or giving me advice or trying to help me in whatever way,
Mhm.
even if it's not their motive, it makes me still have my guard up just in case.
Sure.
So it sucks to feel that way. And I don't even know. It's hard to like talk about. But like I said, thankfully I haven't gone through any extremes like a
Yeah.
lot of my other friends have. And all these women out here are very brave for speaking out and sharing their stories, because I know that it's very hard, and that we deal with the thought of the backlash that we might get
Yeah.
for dropping a name or
Mhm.
saying this, this person tried this on me or did this to me.
Yeah.
It's like it's almost like the man wins every time, but now that's over. Hopefully it
Absolutely.
stays that way, but now it's like we're getting the attention on it, like, hey, you know what, no, f you, we're not doing this anymore. Like, you're gonna get exposed, we're gonna
Yeah.
cancel everybody that's
Mhm.
doing all this. Don't be a piece of trash.
Yeah.
And just like, I don't know why it's so hard for people to just be nice and
Yeah.
not do these things to women,
Right.
but apparently it's hard for them, or they think that they can just get away with whatever they want because of the name that they have, the star power. They think that they can just pressure a younger female talent that just got into the business into doing something, or
Yeah.
you know trying to get them alone in a room together. You can't just pressure somebody like that. Just
Right.
out in society, you shouldn't do that.
Right.
Just because you're a wrestler doesn't mean anything. There's no reason why you should think that, oh, okay, I have a name in independent wrestling, I can try to take advantage of this girl. That's not right. That's not fair.
Yeah.
Especially the ones that are married or in relationships.
Mhm.
That's the worst part about it too. And
Mhm.
those people, you know, I don't even know what I would say about that. Is not very nice, so I'll just not.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just wrong. It's disrespectful.
Yeah,
Definitely have strong feelings on it that I don't know like how to put into words.
I think you did a
to-
good job.
totally
I
understandable.
try.
But in the year 2020, we all have been sitting back the last several months and be like, 2020 sucks. Like 2020's all this bad stuff's been happening.
Yep.
But with that, I think that hopefully we can look back and go, you know what, 2020 was the year that things started to change for the better, whether it's the Black Lives Matter movement, whether it's
Mhm.
the speaking out movement, or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
I hope for all of us that we can look back, uh, hopefully a year from now, but maybe a few
Yeah.
years from now, whenever it may be, and go, you know what, 2020 was that year when, yeah, it got crazy, but
When
good
we got shit done,
right,
right?
That's
That's what I
right.
exactly.
want to say.
Things
That's
started to
right.
change for
Sorry
the
for the
better.
language,
So
but yeah.
That's
yeah,
right.
what are you, Owen Knight on here dropping cuss words? Owen Knight
New
I
last
bet he
week.
era.
did. I bet he does that left and right too. It's funny.
anyways.
Yeah, sorry, just bleep it.
No, no, no.
Oh, I
No.
will.
No.
Thank you. Um,
But
yeah, but I
anyways,
really hope that it opens people's eyes.
Yeah.
There's so much going on right now that just needs to be changed, and I don't know why it's been going on for so long. Like
Mhm.
this, even like obviously, the Black Lives Matter thing has been going on forever. Like it
Mhm.
never went away. It's
yeah,
Right.
been there the whole time.
Yeah.
Thankfully, now it's like way more serious. Now we're all
Mhm.
like, okay,
Yeah.
everyone shut up and listen.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even with the speaking out movement, it's the same thing. This has
Mhm.
been going on for the longest time,
Right.
and just now we're finally talking about it. So if it
Right.
fades away, which it might, hopefully it resurfaces again in the future,
Mhm.
and we can just put an end to it. I definitely feel like the younger generation now, like your generation, my generation, the
Mhm.
generation after that,
Yeah.
I don't want to offend you, I don't know how old you guys are, I just assume that we have like at least a 5-year difference.
you straight up call us old guys.
No,
Did
That's
you
all
call
right.
us old?
That's all right.
Ah,
can I ask how old you are?
old enough.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm
I'm
37.
old.
I'm 37. We've talked
Okay.
about this before. There's definitely a
You guys are young.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
guys
we're
are
young.
young.
We're young.
Yeah.
We're young. We're young.
You're young. You're like 30.
yeah. That's
So
what I meant. Did I say 37? I meant 30.
no, you're 30. You're both 30.
Thanks.
Yes,
Actually, you're
thank
both
you.
29. How about that?
Hey, I'll take it.
Yeah,
I'll take
29.
it. I'll
Anyway.
But
take it.
yeah, so I don't know, just all the older generations, way above like, I don't even know what the age starts at, but like
Mhm.
they've been through all of that hands on, like firsthand, you know,
Sure.
like
Sure.
I don't know how many people's parents have experienced either racism or sexism,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm sure everyone's been through it. And the fact that we're
Yeah.
still going through it now is just not, it's not cool. Like yeah, we could say it's 2020 all day, but I feel like, you know, all this stuff won't really go away until hopefully, you know, another like couple years from now. But honestly, I don't really see it completely fading
Yeah.
until the people that have those small mindsets, you know, I hate to say it, but like die off.
Yeah. Well,
But
you
that's like the reality of the situation, you know, like
Yeah.
we need to just start teaching our children like better than that. But it's like those
Absolutely.
kinds of people are still out there teaching them the wrong way and then raising their sons the wrong way to treat women poorly and all
Mhm.
these things. Ugh, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
No,
terrible.
you know, I would say this. I think if there was anything good to come out of this whole quarantine and COVID-19, it's that it slowed us down enough to notice the things that were right in front of our eyes
Yeah,
the entire time. You know, the issues that we
exactly.
talked about and we've talked about before, sexism and racism, which I personally think are two ugly step siblings that have been around for a long, long time, and they've been embedded in our society. And people have not taken the time to pay attention because we've been so busy doing so many other things. So now, when everybody's bookings get shut down, everybody's on a level playing field. What is there to lose if I'm not being booked anyway because there are no events?
Yeah,
So I
I
think it's
agree.
a great time for people to speak out, for people to stand up. And I think as long as we all continue to push this needle, it's something that won't be ignored. And thankfully, from all that I've been able to see, we've got a really solid locker room environment in SHW, and we have had just some wonderful things happening there. Talk about your run in SHW, because I got to tell you, the last show we had might have been the craziest show for me, because I literally watched people go from booing you to cheering you all in one fell swoop, and it felt like Bizarro land. What do you attribute that to all of a sudden the fans loving Dani Jordyn?
I'm gonna be honest. It's been so long. I don't even remember what the last show was.
I said that last week. So we were talking to Owen Knight last week about the new era, and it was kind
Yeah.
of a mini reunion where
Yeah.
Yeah.
do you remember the kind of a mini reunion of the new era, even though you guys
Oh
didn't,
yeah.
you didn't
And that was the
officially
night that I
break
was on
up.
commentary.
Yeah,
Yes.
because
Oh,
our
Yes.
okay.
gear.
Okay.
Yeah, because Lindsay
Mhm.
Snow got thrown into our gear, and I was afraid everything
Yeah.
got broken, and I was
Yeah.
blaming you. I was like, it's all your fault, Dani.
No, it wasn't my fault.
I'm
Yeah.
just kidding.
Yeah, that happened. That mini reunion. Yeah, I remember that. It kind of happened last minute.
Yeah, it was like
I
spur
just
of the
kind of,
moment.
yeah, I just kind of saw them out there, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go. And then I just went. I got in the ring, and they had literally, they were like, "What are you doing here?" And I was like, "I don't know." And we just celebrated.
That's great.
But it was a
And
genuine
went to the
moment.
back.
It was a
Yeah, it
genuine
was.
moment because the crowd
Yeah.
was eating it up. It was crazy.
Yeah, I was just excited, and I just hopped the barricade. I was like, I can do that. I work here. And I just got in the ring, and they were confused, but it's okay.
It was a cool moment, and we don't
It
know.
was.
Like, it was weird because we've kind of called that last show like the season finale, because
Oh,
we
that's
just don't know.
different,
We don't know when we're gonna pick up for like a new season, or we
Well,
don't
we
really
do know July 1st we've got a big announcement. We know that.
That's what I was going to ask
Oh.
you. If you had heard anything, and if you knew any spoilers or anything that you could tell us, because we found out from the SHW Facebook page from the general manager that it will be a date announcement for a return date. The titles will be on the line and all that good stuff, but we just don't know
Oh.
when. So have you heard any birds chirping of when it might be? Do we know?
I haven't heard a single thing.
Okay.
Wow.
So
So
Dani
I'm not
Jordyn
sure.
will not be booked on that show. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
Don't do that. Oh my God.
I don't know.
Oh my God.
Hey,
Maybe not.
Stark is making an appearance in the background there.
Oh, is he?
God.
Little
buddy.
cameo. Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy. You remember his
Anyways,
name.
Well, yeah, because it's Tony Stark. I'm a Marvel. I'm a nerd. I was
True.
like,
There he is.
yeah.
Hey, buddy, your
Hey,
ears
buddy.
are cut out.
Hey. He's like, what are you doing?
Right. He's like,
Who are
can
you-
you let me out?
Who are you talking to?
Oh,
He wants
Anyways,
to leave.
so I'm sure Dani will be a part of it. All the big names, all your favorite SHW stars will be there. We got to try to do GB. What we'll try to do is get the GM himself on maybe next week.
That'd be cool.
Because July 1st is what it's like a week. It's like next Wednesday.
Yeah, it's
right?
next Wednesday. Yeah.
Is that right?
So
Oh my God, this is
Yeah.
flying by.
it really is flying
I was
by.
thinking back to you guys were talking about NWA earlier, and I
Mhm.
wanted to ask you about anybody who you might want to face. And in my mind, fantasy booking, I would love to see you go up against Thunder Rosa. And I was thinking about the last NWA show I went to, and then we were texting about this because she kind of stole your gimmick. As she was coming down to the ring, she tried to punch me in the face.
Oh yeah, I remember
was like,
that.
I was like, had you been talking backstage and like, hey, if you see this guy
Yeah,
in
I
the
just
crowd,
told her, I was like, hey, if
I
you
was like-
see this weirdo in
yeah,
the crowd,
what's up with that? So, anyways, I was thinking like that would be a great match. Are there anybody, you and Thunder Rosa, would there be anybody else either with them or with AEW, or that we could see you face in an SHW ring? Any big names that you got on the list in your burn book, perhaps?
oh, well, they're not in there yet because
Ah.
I have to wrestle them first, or they just have to make me mad. But literally, I just want to wrestle anybody. Like I'll wrestle anybody at this point. I want to wrestle all the girls, and we just go from there. But
Alright.
Thunder Rosa was actually one of my first matches, so that's
Really?
a fun fact.
Where-
Yeah, I was it was in Texas, and it was me and Dimension Rose and Thunder Rosa and Holly Dead, and we were in a
Wow.
tag match. Yeah,
Cool.
that was one of the first shows I really like traveled to. So that
Yeah.
was fun. I learned a lot. Yeah, I learned a
Okay.
lot. She's very smart.
Yeah.
Okay.
Knows a lot. They both do. All of them do. I was in a match
Yeah.
with a lot of people that they knew what they were doing. I didn't,
Yeah.
but we got through it.
I love it.
But yeah, it was one of my first matches, so that's a fun fact. I love her. She's great.
Well, that's awesome. And speaking of people like fantasy opponents that would be awesome, one of those almost was going to happen at the tournament, the SCI, and it was going to be Smiley Kylie,
Yeah.
and that didn't happen, or at least it hasn't happened yet. So we're hoping that
No.
maybe somewhere down the line, if everybody's schedules can get worked out now that she's with Impact. Hopefully we get to see that sometime in the future, because that's one of
Yeah.
your, I think I've heard you say before, that's kind of one of your dream matches.
Yes, that's my number one. She's been my
Wow.
number one basically since I started wrestling. So
Wow.
she's the main person I want to wrestle, and it hasn't happened yet.
Wow.
I've shared the locker room with her before. I've known her, for a minute now, and just I think she already knows that she's my number one to wrestle. So when it was about to happen, I was so excited and I was so
Yeah.
ready. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna kick her ass. And
Yeah.
then nothing happened, and so I was pretty bummed about that. But I think it's still realistic that it'll still happen, even if she's with Impact. I mean, we had Kiera when
Yeah.
she was with Impact, and I still wrestled her. So I think it'll still happen.
Well, I hope it does, and I hope we find out. Well, we will find out next July 1st. I think it's next Wednesday. I don't have my calendar in front
Yeah,
of me.
it is.
And let me just say, since this quarantine, like all my days, I don't know what day it is. All my
Me either.
time, I've lost track of time and dates. And anyway,
Yeah.
so we are going to
Same.
find out the return date very soon, and we cannot wait. We know you're a busy person, and so you got to run. We don't want to hold you up too long, but we can't wait to see you sometime soon in the near future at an SHW show. And just please, when we see you, don't punch me in the face.
No promises. But
No
I'll try.
promises.
I figured.
No promises.
Well, Dani J, the real mean girl, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. All right, guys. Boy, that was a fun interview with Dani Jordyn, the real mean girl who is kind of nice. She's not all that mean. Yeah, I guess the jury's still out.
She doesn't.
But,
She doesn't always punch you in the face when you see her.
Well, fair
She
enough.
does. She
She's
does.
never punched me in the face. I must admit,
Here.
she's never punched. Yeah, I'm innocent there, but she has done fantastic work. Again, you can go back on, of course, the YouTube channel for AEW and for NWA to check her out, and you can always check her material out right here at SHW on independentwrestling.tv. great place to check that out. And quite frankly, with this big announcement coming next week, you probably want to go ahead and binge watch now so you can be caught up on all the great names, all the great faces, and all the great moments from SHW, so that when we're back at the Action Building or wherever we may be, who knows, whenever we get there, you'll be prepared. So go ahead, check it out, independentwrestling.tv, $10 a month, all the independent wrestling you can handle, specifically from SHW.
That's right. And of course, as we like to mention every single time, don't forget to follow us all across the internet. We got at SHW Pod
Yes.
somewhere. There it is.
There it is.
On Twitter and Instagram. And of course,
Yeah.
follow us on YouTube. And of course, you can see us right here on this Facebook page every Friday at 6 p.m. when we premiere every episode.
I got to throw one thing out there real quick. We
Yeah.
just can't let this week go without announcing this, because this was monster news in the world of pro wrestling this week. The official retirement of The Undertaker. Like, I got it. WWE did a phenomenal job with the 5-part series, The Last Ride, kind of walking us through where Mark Calloway, The Undertaker, has been, giving us a look at him that we've never had before, and really watching his battle with whether or not he would retire. He's officially retired. So I got to ask you, man, how did this show make you feel, and kind of what's your favorite Undertaker moment, man?
I don't know if you're calling me out because I posted this on Facebook and I said somebody must have been chopping onions while I was watching it, because I was
I
like,
did see that.
I was getting a little choked up, man. Now you're
Yeah.
calling me out. Let me tell everybody, but it's all good.
Yeah.
I'll admit it. Yeah, I got a little
Yeah.
choked up at certain points.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
here's the thing that I want to point out. You said officially retired. I've seen other people post officially retired. WWE has pretty much in all but just implied it that this is
Yeah.
it. Even in
Yeah.
the documentary, which by the way was one of the best documentaries I've ever seen. It was just phenomenally done. And
Yeah.
he's thanking the boys. He's saying he's
Mhm.
going to miss the boys, but he also said if Vince was ever in a pinch and needed him for some reason, that he might consider it. So, and he never officially said the words retire. He just said the cowboy has ridden off and all
Mhm.
this kind of stuff, all these little
Mhm.
phrases, but he never
Yeah.
said that word. So
Mhm.
part of me wonders, who knows? Maybe he's at least going to be around, because I think, didn't we hear, and
He's got
we
like a
might,
lifetime contract.
yeah,
or
we
something.
might be getting a little
Yeah.
too into the dirt sheets right now for an SHW
Yeah.
podcast, but I
Yeah.
believe he signed something recently for an
Mhm.
extended 15 years or whatever it was, and
Yeah.
so he'll be around in some form of
Yeah.
fashion.
Yeah.
But yeah, we probably won't see him in the ring again, but
Mhm.
you just never know with pro wrestling. You just
Well, you
never
do
know.
never know with pro wrestling. I do feel like with all the internal battles that he's had, if this isn't it, I don't know that we'll ever believe him if
Yeah.
he says he's going to retire. Like, it reminds me of Ric Flair during his Hall of Fame speech when he said, "I'll never retire."
Yeah.
I'll never retire. And the truth is, he never retired. I mean, he had his big retirement thing. Then he showed up in Impact Wrestling.
Yeah.
So
But he just showed up on Raw and he gave Christian a low blow.
he
So
sure did.
what is
Like,
he doing?
which is probably another podcast for another day, the impact of wrestlers and, et cetera, et cetera. But I will say, to your point, I think it's one of the best documentaries I've ever seen. WWE really deserves an award for just the incredible story they told with that 5-part series. And I'll just say one of my favorite moments was the WrestleMania 25 match with Shawn Michaels and Undertaker. I was there
Mhm.
in the second row. So most likely you all have seen me and didn't realize you saw me. But if you go back, now that you see this face, go back and watch it. You'll see it's plastered all over. But it was really, I was the guy who had a camera. It was a really special time. And, 30 years in the business, and to think what 2020 has given to us and taken from us. Jushin Thunder Liger, The Undertaker, both retiring in the same year. Pretty epic moment. So I join with the rest of the wrestling industry. Hashtag thank you, Taker.
Yeah, thank you, Taker, for sure. And just to kind of pinpoint one of my favorite moments, I've actually got a couple, but I was at Mania 20 in
Okay.
Madison Square Garden, and
Yes.
he had been the American Badass for a period of time,
Yes.
and then he disappeared for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and there was all these rumors that he was going to come back as the Dead Man, and sure enough, but he
he
wasn't
did.
wearing his typical Dead Man hat. It was more like a cowboy-looking hat. or you
Mhm.
know what I mean, if you
Yeah.
recall. And he
Yeah.
came out, all the druids were holding the torches coming down, and it was just such a cool. If you've never seen the Undertaker make an
Oh.
entrance live, it is
Oh.
such a cool. I mean, it looks awesome on TV every time, but
But
when you're
yeah,
there, oh, it gives you
special.
chills.
It's
And so
special.
another one, actually, 1 second, hang on.
Yeah. So you guys can see there's a WrestleMania chair in the background. Looks like the WrestleMania 2000 chair in the background. Ah, Backlash chair. There we
Yeah.
go. There
So
we
I
go.
do have, well, I got a Mania, I've got a, TLC, some other ones. This one
Yeah.
has Edge's face on it. Where's?
Aha.
But anyways,
Aha.
this one was in Georgia, 2007. I
Okay.
think it was at Phillips Arena,
Yeah.
and this was the one and only show I've ever gotten front row seats to. Because
Nice.
me and a buddy of mine decided, you know what, we're just going to go all out here. We're just going to
Go for
spend
it.
some money, and we
Yeah.
ended up. Granted, they weren't the seats we were expecting. We were thinking we'd get like hard camera side, right
Yeah.
across from the camera, and we
Yeah.
ended up directly behind Cole and JBL on commentary. Which
That's
we
a
were
good
still,
moment.
and there's actually a funny shot of me as the show's starting, and their cameras on them, and I'm behind them going, and the producer by the camera is looking at me like waving me off, like sit down.
Right.
Sit down.
Right.
But anyways, so during that show, which was an amazing show, and it was great seats, but during that show, the main event was Batista taking on the Undertaker in
Okay.
a last man standing match.
Yeah.
And at one point, they come over to the announce table, which is literally right in front of us.
Wow.
Clears off the table, lays Batista on it. Undertaker stands up on the barricade directly in front of me. Like I could have grabbed his
Wow.
ankles. He's right
Wow.
here.
Wow.
Jumps off, drops the leg through Batista.
Good Lord.
Big memory, fun memory.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of my favorites of the Undertaker. So just to be up that close and personal during
Mhm.
a classic match that he
Yeah.
had with Batista was very cool. So again,
awesome.
like you said, I joined the rest of the internet, the rest of the world in hashtag thank you, Taker. And
Absolutely.
and we know this isn't a WWE podcast by any means, but it's the Undertaker.
It's the Undertaker.
He's
I
one of the
mean,
great. He's one of the greatest of all time. So we got to show him some
Absolutely.
love after
Absolutely.
the announcements.
Of sorts. Yeah.
But you're right. Like I said, WWE's treating it like it's an official announcement, and everybody
Yeah.
else basically is too. So
Yeah.
we'll see. But like I
We
said,
will.
it's pro wrestling, and you just never know what might
Yeah.
happen. So maybe Sting
Well,
comes out of retirement. Maybe Undertaker comes out of retirement. It gives us the dream match we've always wanted.
I still kind of want that, I must admit.
I don't
do.
know. We'll
I
see.
do. Well, we go from thank you, Taker, to thank you, SHW, for joining us again for another fantastic week. Remember, next week, there'll be an announcement, and we'll have some news on it.
We'll be
So
talking about it for sure.
stay tuned for sure. It's going to be
So-
a great week.
Thank you to you guys for listening, for watching, whichever the case may be. And, of course, thank you to our guest, the real mean girl, Dani Jordyn. And luckily we're via Zoom, so she didn't punch me in the face,
Yes.
which
yes.
is the first time I've had any sort of interview with her where that has not happened. So I chalk that up to a good interview. But
Yes.
thank you to you guys. And until next time, this has been SHW.
This is our wrestling.
Boom. There it is. See you guys. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here she is, Dani Jordyn. Dani? Dani?
Oh,
There she is.
Oh my God.